Alright, today we're going to learn how to paint this painting in a style I call Dazzling Drips.
Alright, the question of the day is, who is Praveen Bhatia?
Alright, let's run through the colors. Pearly red, Gwyn magenta, pearly orange, Indian yellow, primary yellow, burnt sienna, Van Dyke brown, cobalt blue, Quin blue, titanium white, Mars black. Alright, today we're going to do an abstract painting in a style I call Dazzling Drips. Alright, we just got this layer down. We got this nice dark red. It's kind of bled a lot into the lower layer. Same thing here. We have the red. We have some nice streaking up here at the top. We got this nice kind of tan and yellow in the middle. So the yellow and tan have kind of separated, so that's pretty nice. So I think what we're going to do now is add some cool colors to kind of contrast these warm colors on top. Alright, we just laid in this dark purple, we got a little bit of lights, we have this orange popping through, which is really nice right now, as well. We're even in the damn phone. So we have the dark at the top, with a really nice drip effect with this white. I am going to layer on top of this, it looks good now, but I kind of want to heighten out some of the features and make that dark to light really pop here.
So Praveen Bhatia is a painter friend of mine who I painted with for, let's see, I don't know, 8 years? Quite a long time, really good friend of mine. And we painted together in 4th Street Fine Art Studios. He was there since the beginning, so a full 10 years of that. I was only there at the very end, 1 year. And later in the new studio, 4th Street Fine Art, which was a much smaller studio. And we really influenced, I think, each other. I learned a lot from him as far as the brushstroke. He got me to focus only on one painting at a time to put more energy into that painting versus kind of doing a whole series of painting at once. I've kind of gotten away from that. For my larger painting, I still do focus on one painting at a time. I think that's a really great technique to put a lot of energy into one painting and put the focal point on that and really put your full mind around it versus doing a series of paintings. You might be painting just for... You might screw up and use kind of a different palette than you wanted to use in a series of paintings when you're working on them all at the same time. So there's a little bit of disadvantage to working in a series versus one painting at a time. He's originally from India, and I think it was Delhi where he studied his bachelor's and then later his master's in art history. So very well trained, and then he happened to come to New York just as a tourist, and then he happened to decide to stay and then he barely got a tourist visa. Back then you could just go to this one office in Brooklyn and just ask them for a social security number, they give you one. Which obviously wouldn't work now under, you know, ICE and Trump and all that. But yeah, back in the day when he came over, it was much easier to get a social security card. He got it for a bank account, and then later, you know, he happened to move to San Francisco, where he met his wife and decided to stay, kind of put permanent roots there. And he's worked for, graphic designer the whole time, so he's done a lot of graphic art. I don't particularly see it much in his work. I think he's using the opposite when he paints. I think he's using more kind of reaction against graphic art, which is linear. It's a lot of lettering, following a pattern. So his artwork is more fluid, and it has to do with a lot of brushstroke to show really the brushstroke. And his philosophy is really around what you can do with that brushstroke. And I incorporate a lot into, say, my architecture abstraction style, where you see the brushstroke. It's not only geometrical, but you got a lot of brushstroke in there to show a lot of the passion and swirling emotion that you can put into paint when you have vivid brushstrokes. So it's always good to work, I think, in an art co-op kind of situation for a little bit at least, maybe not permanently, but a little bit to kind of learn all those techniques from different artists and really, take your art level to the next level. So, I think me and him really bounced a lot of different creative ideas off each other, a little bit on, when a painting's finished, when it's not finished, what you should add, maybe you should stop now. So, I've encouraged him sometimes to do that, to either stop now or maybe try something new, or, vice versa. He's helped me and said, no, it's good enough right now. So I think that's really a great thing, to have a good sounding board of objective artists. Sometimes you got really idiots that don't like you and they're just gonna kind of troll you, so you got to be careful who you hang around with and take advice from. But that is a great technique to learn. And probably, he's done a lot of symposiums around the world. He went to Farandole recently, and he's been to Tunisia before the war broke out, and Turkey, which was really cool because they put his name up on Billboard with all the artists. So that's a really cool thing. I still haven't done that, so I want to do that in the future. And so he's done a couple of tours around these symposiums around Europe. And recently he's gotten his first New York solo show in New York. So that should be a real big breakthrough, I think, for him. He's a really great figurative artist if you like that style of artwork, as well as landscape. So that's kind of his specialty. He's really drilled down into the figure as well as the landscape, but primarily the figure. He's always drawn it since he was a little kid. He would draw people on the streets in charcoal or pencil right on the streets while they're walking by in India. And he does a lot of charcoal still drawing that he uses obviously as a technique to keep his painting skills sharp, because you can't paint from the model per se. He does in watercolor excellent, but for oil it really takes, it's like hours and hours, and you can't afford to pay a model like hundreds of dollars just sit there for hours in the same position. So he does this study from charcoal, watercolor, and because he has that in his mind and a technique constantly honed down, going weekly to drawing class, he's really able to pull that together. And that's my artist friend, Praveen Bhatia, and I encourage you to collect him.
All right, we just finished the paint. Let's take a closer look. So this one has this really nice dark purple coming through at the back end. There's a little bit of shine here because it's bright light, but I need the lighting. You got this yellow coming through. It's kind of hazy in the middle. I kind of toned that down quite a bit. And then again, it goes to the reverse with more yellows into the oranges, with that purple kind of popping through just a little bit. Yeah, this one turned out really good. I really like the different layers with the drips. It turned out quite well. I was a little bit unsure. I almost left it the way it was in the last layer, because the last layer looked really good as well, but I wanted to really make those ends and middle pop, so I got, add that really dark red kind of on the purple, so there's kind of this variation between the purple and the red at the bottom layer, which you see. I added more of the orange to kind of make that a little bit more pop and also fill in the gaps where it was white. And then it has that nice kind of Indian yellow, just a little bit coming through. Maybe I should have made it a little bit more evident. We do have a little bit orange on one side. It's kind of a spotch, but I kind of like that because it kind of gives it a really uneven look to the color. We have this really nice highlight bend in the middle, which, the middle was pretty good as well, but you definitely need that kind of white pop to kind of make the light to dark look right in the painting. You can leave it kind of in the mid-tone how it was, but from my experience, what I found is really that light to dark really is appealing to the eye, especially my eye. I don't know, maybe not everyone's taste. Yeah, I think this turned out really well. It's got a great drip pattern. Overall, really good. I think, having done, maybe 10 paintings now, it definitely, like, you get your legs wet. The more you do this style, it turns out better and better each time.
Hopefully you guys like it. Give me a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, you can subscribe below. And if you want to see the full version, check out my Patreon account. See you on the next painting video. Thanks, guys.